Randy, udah bisa.
Ya,
Randy.
tadi kok nggak bisa ya, bro?
Sorry. Randy, udah bisa.
Yes.
I pass back to you, ah.
Ya, tadi kok nggak bisa ya, bro?
Gue nggak tahu. Gue ada cookiesnya baca saya punya itu. Saya nggak masukin password udah langsung bisa.
Yes. Oh. Yes.
I pass back to you, ah.
Ya, tadi kok nggak bisa ya, bro?
Gue nggak tahu. Gue ada cookiesnya baca saya punya itu. Saya nggak masukin password udah langsung bisa.
Yes. Oh. Yes.
I pass back to you, ah.
Ya, tadi kok nggak bisa ya, bro? Kok suaranya double gitu ya, menggema?
Oh, I think so. I better off my YouTube.
Okay, that's why.
Okay, done. Pass you the host.
Gua masih perlu record YouTube lagi nggak atau udah nggak usah?
Boleh record aja untuk jaga.
Nah, bukan. Lu kan sudah live YouTube. Oh, maksudnya gua nggak perlu live YouTube lagi ya, udah on kan?
Ya, sebenarnya nggak usah. Up to you. Mestinya di YouTube udah terekam.
Oke, we try.
Oke, Sean, perlu last minute inilah discussion atau penyampaian.
Bakal share screen ya nanti. I'll do it. Is it possible?
Yeah, Randy will.
Ya, you can.
Okay.
Ya.
Kan kita share screen kan semua bisa anybody can share, multiple participants can share.
Okay.
Randy, ada dua door prize. Nanti pertanyaannya nanti kamu atur lah ya, kalian atur ya.
To the audience ya, oke.
Ya, yang penting mesti daftar. Saya kan ini salah satu untuk membuat orang daftar yang ini berlaku untuk yang daftar. Gitu.
Oke.
Two question ya. Want to make it easy, want to make it difficult. Tadinya mau satu untuk yang prospek, yang prospek daftar, tapi takutnya prospeknya nggak banyak.
Berarti question seperti biasa aja ya, bro?
Ya, I leave it to you. Jadi atau ya mungkin dua-duanya untuk yang daftar lah, atau satu yang daftar, satu yang untuk umum gitu. I leave it to you ya. Pokoknya there's two cooler box, two small cooler box.
Oke.
Udah masuk Hendra, ini Dr. Hendra ya. Andi-nya juga, Raymond-nya juga. Suryanti, ini Suryanti C ya?
Ya.
Saya sih belum kenal sih. Dr. Simon sudah. Dr. Simon?
Ya, malam kuliah ya.
Kamsya, udah kenalin Indra.
Ya, sama-sama.
Terus
Ya,
juga pakai jasanya grupnya Randy, grupnya Jody.
Selamat malam.
Transport barangnya.
Emang lu udah kontak, bro?
Udah di kontak. Ya, cepet loh.
Oh, udah. Syukurlah.
Ya,
gampang mah. Kalau tahu Pangnang mah saling kenal bisa kontak. Ya.
Ya, mudah-mudahan barang kita kelihatan di sana lah. Saya lihat masih belum begitu kenal. Nah, ini Engnya juga udah masuk. Bandnya dari Jawa Tengah juga udah masuk. Silakan ya, perkenalkan diri ya, kalau mau saling ada penyampaian apa. Tatio Juwe. Wah, botak. Itu bukan salah.
Ya Juwe. Ya, Randy ya, lancar.
Wah, suki ya.
Engnya tuh. Tatio Juwe kayak Sinse.
Wah, lagi cari Sinse juga.
Engnya wah.
Sinse urut kasih. Siap kut Sinse kasih Sinse.
Gimana bilang malam ini malam anak muda. Kime si Hausekia kai apa ya? Malam.
Meam. Saya kira kami.
Untuk Simon, jadi PSBB lah sih.
Nggak tahu ini. Menteri-menteri pada nolak. Tapi gimana ya? Kan harusnya didisiplinkan dulu. Belum disiplin kita nggak tahu.
Ya.
Ya, pemakaian masker dulu didisiplinkan. Ya, cuci tangan disiplin dulu.
Jadi, tapi pemerintah pusat udah ada himbauan kan. Cuma orang Jakarta agak bandel aja ya.
Beberapa negara lain juga agak susah kalau disiplin, kecuali negara-negara seperti Jepang, Korea itu kan dari kecil dididik disiplin.
Tuh.
Apa metro? Metro itu tempat
Simonnya. Kabarnya Cina lagi bikin vaksin lewat nasal spray ya?
bahasa
Tahu kalau itu. Kalau influenza dan beberapa vaksin lainnya kan memang ada pakai nasal spray. Kalau yang ini COVID saya belum tahu. Belum tahu.
Memang ada, udah ada yang nasal spray untuk influenza gitu.
Dan beberapa jenis vaksin yang lain ada.
Oh,
Inggris kan?
ya Inggris.
Oke.
Hilang. Oke, kita lagi live on YouTube. Berarti banyak yang melihat. Oke. Saya mute dulu.
Settingnya.
Aduh.
Masih nunggu. Mau nanya itu pembicara kita Sean ya, itu masih abangnya Ian atau
Adik.
adik ya?
Saya paling kecilnya.
Oh, adik. Mantap. Semuanya namanya itu Gus Mulyadi. Berarti sepupunya Randy. Sepupu Randy.
Betul.
Sambung menyambung lah saudara.
Wanang kan saudara besarnya.
Keluarga besar ya. Sip.
Nah,
Kalau Ian sama Sean berarti udah lahir dan besar di Jakarta ya berarti.
betul. Wah, rasa sih tahun Senin ini PSBB itu rasanya enggak jelas lah.
Kebijaksanaan pusat mungkin.
Nah, karena gua suruh orang ke kantor kecamatan nanya, dan itu kecamatan pun juga bingung karena belum ada surat keputusan gubernurnya.
Ya, kita tunggu.
Jadi kan kita yang mau planning ini kan juga pusing gimana ininya.
Yang swasta
tapi tetap itu udah rata-rata semuanya udah persiapan WFH semua sih.
Plan A, plan B lah ya. Backup plan.
Tuh.
Okay.
Kalau PSBB lagi, Zoom seminggu 3 kali dong.
Iya jadi pembicaranya.
Gua kemarin di share link ada acara dari Nasdem. Dia ajak orang-orang pemerintahan, kalau ada yang berminat nanti saya bagi linknya. Yang mau, jadi diundang, mau nanya apa, mau komplain apa silakan. Itu ada kepala Satpol PP, ada kepala Dinas Kesehatan Jakarta, terus ada anggota DPRD. Acaranya besok, nanti aku share di grup lah, barangkali ada yang mau. Ada yang mau ngomel-ngomel juga. Yang mau komplain kan boleh kan, komplain ke mereka. Tapi yang gue lihat sekarang bagus ya, bahwa pertama itu yang sudah disahkan undang-undang mengenai COVID itu bagus. Bahwa masyarakat itu tidak boleh komplain terhadap kebijakan pemerintah. Penanganan terhadap COVID itu tidak boleh dibuat main-main gitu ya. Karena semakin orang main-main akibatnya ada yang percaya, ada yang enggak. Terus keputusan Presiden untuk minta TNI dan Polri untuk bertindak tegas, membantu kedisiplinan terhadap protokol kesehatan juga itu satu langkah yang bagus. Selama ini kan kita lihat mereka setengah-setengah ya. Kalau perlu kayak India gitu. Dirotan-rotanin ya, Dr. Simon ya.
Kebijakannya tergantung daerah masing-masing lah ya.
Di Kalimantan Barat bagus, itu gubernurnya bagus, keras ya, ketat dia. Sutarmiji itu bagus, keras gitu.
Ya mulai dari bawah, dari wali kota memang wali kota pernah dapat penghargaan juga.
Iya.
Bagus. Ya lebih nurut lah.
Memang masalah kita ini ya disiplin ya.
Masih nunggu ini ya. Siapa ini? Tunggu Kurnianya di itu ya, pemuda.
Kurnianya sudah masuk. Mungkin kita 1-2 menit lagi kita mulai ya. Bro Ian gimana? Oke. Bro Sean 1-2 menit lagi siap?
Boleh.
Oke, sip. Kita tunggu 1-2 menit lagi. Jadi pas 19.45 kita start.
Ada new member lah atau member yang kita belum kenal.
Bro. Ya, silakan perkenalkan diri, Aceh Suryanti.
Ya, thank you. Ya, nama saya Suryanti. Yuta Ticuwe. Ticuwe-nya sudah. Ticuwe-nya udah parah banget. Dikenalin Ayah Jody. Baru gabung ke grup minggu lalu.
Bagus. Tinggalnya di mana? Di Jakarta?
Bogor.
Oke. Salam
Bogor.
kenal ya. Salam.
Ya. Asli Jambinang.
Jambi ada nih di sini Hengki.
Ya.
Hengki Marzuki.
Ya, salam kenal semua ya.
Halo. Oh, Jambinang 4 Ahui ya.
Ahui ya, siapa ya?
Banyak bro.
Iya.
Ahui itu tulisannya Pemuda TCM Indonesia itu.
Ya.
Wah, bukan Tiocunang, bukan Jambinang lah. Itu Hengki tuh.
Bro Hengki keluar video dong. Masa cuma suaranya aja? Itu dia.
Udah pindah ke Bogor Sacap nih, jadi sudah bomi kita, maksudnya yang Uni ya.
Di Bogor banyak yang dari Jambi. Nanti ini ya jadi perwakilan kita ya di Bogor deh.
Boleh.
Kita belum banyak yang dari Bogor.
Boleh. Tuh Bogor cing coy Tejunang loh.
Betul, di Tajur kan?
Bukan, Cikaret.
Cikaret ya.
Cikaret itu cincoi yang dicunang dari Jambi, dari Riau.
Wow, baru tahu ya begitu cincongnya itu.
Ya, itu yang komplek yang nang cincoi Cooi itu.
Iya.
Itu dicunang loh.
Betul.
Oh,
Paling terkenal kan si Olimpik gitu.
Nah itu baru mau bilang itu yang saudara-saudara Olimpik kan kumpulnya di Cikaret semua.
Ya. Kita juga panti jompo di sana juga.
Pusat makanan Tejo itu ada di Cikaret kalau di Bogor.
Nanti kuliner deh.
habis COVID. Kuliner.
Nah ini adiknya Hengki nih, Peli nih, malam ini ada lah. Itu.
Nggak tahu ikut. Iya.
Ya.
Boleh coba ya di sana ya.
Itu dari Jambi.
Ikut. Tadi dia bilang mau ikut.
Siapa?
Oke, ini
Aceh Peli katanya mau ikut malam ini.
Ikut ya. Iya.
Oke, nanti habis acara.
Mungkin ini waktunya sudah kita mulai semuanya. Oke, jadi selamat malam semuanya. Perkenalkan saya Wendy, moderator hari ini, dan co-moderator saya Ian. Say hello to everybody.
Hai semua.
Jadi malam ini malam ini adalah acara Millennium event Millennial event yang ketiga, ya, yang dimana fokus utamanya adalah kita Millennial Jeju mengkontribusi dalam bentuk sharing. Jadi malam ini spesial ya Bro Ian ya, hari ini karena menurut saya topik malam ini Are we safe? Learn how to protect your digital data. Ini tuh saya merasa benar-benar penting sekali. Karena apalagi saat sekarang ini karena kondisi COVID, mungkin orang yang tadinya seminggu bisa 2-3 kali ke bank, sekarang semua orang sebisa mungkin jangan ke bank. Dan orang mau nggak mau pun belajar internet banking. Nah, sedangkan internet banking itu tidak semua orang bisa langsung menguasai, karena kadang-kadang salah pencet aja bisa fatal sekali errornya. Apalagi kalau kita punya security, daripada mungkin kita punya peralatan yang kita gunakan itu tidak memadai. Bayangkan kalau sampai ada apa-apa, resikonya kan luar biasa. Jadi menurut saya malam topik ini tuh sangat-sangat membantu lah kalau bisa kita sama-sama sharing ya. Kalau menurut Bro Ian gimana?
Tuh, apalagi ini topik-topik yang biasanya orang yang lebih tua nggak gitu paham ya. Jadi kita ada kedatangan speaker yang lebih muda untuk mengajarkan kita mengenai keamanan dalam digital, dalam media online. Gitu. Jadi hari ini kita ada speaker, Sean Kusmujadi. Dia masih muda sekali, lulus S1 di Purdue University tahun 2018. Habis itu dia kerja di Amerika dulu, sebelum tahun 2019 dia pulang ke Indonesia. Mengenai pekerjaan dia sekarang, saya serahkan dia buat cerita sedikit tentang dirinya sendiri. Sean, saya berikan waktu dan tempat, silahkan.
Halo semua, saya Sean. Seperti kata koko saya Ian barusan, saya baru lulus dari Purdue University dan Indonesia saya tidak terlalu bagus, jadi saya ngomong Inggris saja. So when I got back to Indonesia, I got a job in the cybersecurity space. Since I graduated from Purdue with a bachelor's in cybersecurity as well. The company is called Security Research Labs here in Jakarta. And what I do is basically, I'm a consultant and I advise my clients in the way to kind of improve their cybersecurity stance, take care of their vulnerabilities, figure out how to improve their cybersecurity stance and how to limit their exposure towards the hackers. So in this tonight, I'm gonna explain at a very high level how we as humans in general will be able to kind of limit our exposure as well, to kind of not get hacked as much as we can. On the other hand, since all of you know, COVID has made us more aware of our social media and use social media to an extent that is unprecedented right now. And everything that we do will connect to the internet in any way, shape, or form. And so being able to kind of know what the risks are, how we can mitigate the possibilities of hackers kind of getting our information, being able to kind of get into our system and kind of being bad guys, to figure out how we can not open the doors for bad guys to basically come into our house and steal everything. Can I just go ahead with the presentation? Ko Wendy, Ko Ian?
Yes, you can. Langsung share screen aja, Sean.
Okay. Bisa kelihatan ya?
Kelihatan.
Okay. So as I said, I'm here to talk about cybersecurity at a very high level. So the presentation will be in Indonesia, as I actually will be talking English. If there are any questions regarding anything, there's going to be a break in the middle, and of course there's going to be time for questions at the end, so stick with me. So first of all, what is cybersecurity in general? Basically anything that has to do with the technology and how we can protect that is cybersecurity. It ranges from anything related to technology, such as like your phone, your smart fridge, your communications with your friends, family, your online presence, what you send through WhatsApp, through Instagram, through emails, and how we can protect that, all the way to cryptocurrencies, how banks kind of send money to one another, and how we can make sure that there's no problems in between. So the first and foremost, what I want to tell everyone here that had not had any cybersecurity knowledge whatsoever is cybersecurity is never an end goal. There will never be a point in time where you are 100% secure and you don't need to think about cybersecurity again. Reducing the risk of exposure, reducing the risk of being hacked, and the risk of what is the fallout when that hack occurs is what we strive for in security. It is always a race and never an end goal, in which, honestly, if you think about it, as long as there's going to be a victim, hackers are always going to try to exploit it. What you want to do is be better than the next guy. So being better than your competitor. If a hacker would, if there's two companies, for example, and one is and both have around the same market cap, if one is much easier to hack than the other, of course the hacker is gonna be hacking the one that's easier to hack. There's no reason to go through all the hurdles of trying to hack the harder one when the end goal is the same. So the first thing that is easy to know, and everyone should know, honestly, is passwords. So just an anecdote evidence, in 2019, 2.2 billion emails and password combinations has been distributed to the internet. This is only what is known to the public. And of course, there's going to be like in the darknet, there's going to be much more, hundreds billion probably of combination that we don't know yet, that is already leaked, but we just don't know. If you want to check whether your email has ever your email password combination has ever been leaked publicly, go to that website, haveibeenpawned.com. You can go now and just type in your email, and it will show you all the publicly available leaks that that your email is connected to. And yeah, just listen to me in like the next 5 minutes and figure out whether you have to change it or not. So password best practices. There are a lot of misconceptions about passwords. The first and foremost is that never rely on your memory. Humans are the weakest link in every, in almost basically everything. So what we want to do is take out the human factor and make it so that we don't need to remember a lot of things. And again, the usual things that you would hear people rant about. Don't use the same passwords for any sites. For example, like have different Facebook passwords, Instagram passwords, email passwords for sure. Have all those passwords different, so that if one of those emails or Facebook got hacked, you wouldn't be in the need to kind of change everything else, and they wouldn't be able to like hack, cross hack other platforms, just due to the fact that you are using the same password and email for everything. Use 11 or more characters, whether it be numbers, symbols for your passwords. You might think this is difficult to remember, right? But honestly, if you make your passwords to things like, for example, computer meja buku, though that is like more than 11 already, and it's very easy to remember. Creating passwords like that, and of course adding what the website wants you to add, probably like a number at the end, doesn't really matter. But that computer meja buku is very easy to remember, and it's strong enough that it's impossible to guess for a hacker, which is a very important part of secrecy. So I told you that it's you shouldn't write down your you shouldn't have the same password for everything. So how will you remember that all those different passwords? This is very subjective kind of answer. In my opinion, using a password manager is the best way. For me personally, I use something called KeePass. But honestly, any password manager that saves your password on your computer or your phone is good enough, as long as it's, of course, with a reputable company and it has never been hacked before. Using this password manager, you only need to make, you only need to remember one password, and you can save it to save hundreds other passwords. So just make this one difficult password that you need to remember, and everything else will, you can just open it from there and make your life much simpler. If, for example, you don't use a laptop, as many of you probably do, and you only use a phone, it is okay to write down your passwords, but treat it as your treasure, basically your valuables. It is honestly, at this point, it is much more important than maybe the valuables itself. If your passwords are the key to your bank accounts, to your basically social media presence, it is, in this very interconnected world, everything is important, and once you are hacked, it's very hard to not be hacked. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed this. So continuing on, in May 2020, Wikipedia got hacked, as you all may know. This is a public Twitter account. Someone posted this, may or may not be the hacker itself. But as you can see, there's the user ID, the emails, the passwords, locations, the name of the leaked people. But I'm here to tell you honestly, should you even care about this? I would say yes for the first 5 minutes when you heard about the news. But if you have different passwords for your sites like this, Tokopedia, and for example, all your Shopee, your Facebook, your Instagram accounts have different passwords, then it doesn't really matter if the hacker knows your password, right? You just change your Tokopedia password and everything will be handy dandy and everything will be good. All they know is your old password and your email, which honestly everyone probably knows at this point. And it doesn't really matter if that specific combination is known to the world, as long as you are never going to use that combination anymore. One thing to note though is that the specific combination, for example, if my password is Sean Kusmuljadi, I don't want to use Sean Kusmuljadi 1708, which is my password, in different sites. That does not include what I say in different passwords. What I meant in different password is a totally different password, like keyboard, computer, Tokopedia. That is a great password, a totally different password from Sean Kusmuljadi. So there has to be like a distinct difference between all those passwords. Another thing that everyone honestly needs to know about is something called phishing. Phishing is something that you guys probably know already, but do not know the specific term. It's when hackers or someone that want to do malicious things send you an email or a text or WhatsApp, a share post, or like a Twitter share post that goes to a fake website, and all bad things happen. First and foremost, when I just see my parents, they always click on links their friends or family sends them. Yeah, never do this. This is probably one of the easiest tactic a hacker can do and kind of recreate, so that an easy victim will be able to just blindly click on the text and email and trust what since it is given by their trusted friend, right? So they wouldn't kind of assume that there is a possibility that this is a malicious link and just click it. If you have to and you are very interested into seeing what is in this link, a recommendation is to copy and paste the link itself and not actually click it. Copying and pasting the link makes sure that the site that you're opening is the exact same as what you're copying. It is possible to spoof the link itself, so that, for example, the link, when you press the link, it's facebook.com. But then when you click on the link, it directs you to a site called youjustgothacked.com. Other forms of phishing is from emails. You might have received emails that are very questionable, that you don't know who it is. But recently, phishing emails have been very, very smart, and being able to disguise itself as a legitimate email. You really need to know how to differentiate between a legit email and a malicious email. For example, you just got home, you scroll through your email, and you got this email just as you got home. Hi, some name, someone just tried to log into your Instagram account. If this was you, please use the following code to confirm your identity. In your mind, you would be like, someone just tried to hack me. Sure, then I'll press reset your account here, right? So just a preface, this is a malicious email. This is a fake email sent by some random dude and not Instagram, as you can see. How you have to see this in this kind of situation is basically doubt everything. In this case, there's a view details option there. You need to click on that, and most likely, if it is a malicious email and it is not a great hacker, the sender will not be from customer service at Instagram.com. It will be some random email that you 100% will know and notice for sure that it is a fake email. If, for example, you press the reset your account and it directs you to this website, and for example, you go to the picture on the left, would you have noticed that this is a fake Instagram account? Honestly, I pretty much won't. If even I myself won't, just because it's very similar. On the other hand, though, you can see that on the top, the site itself is covered, but it has a .cf URL. That is something that you need to look every time after you click on any link, honestly, or make sure that you are certain whenever you're trying to reset password, whenever you're trying to reset your credentials, that you are on the right site to do it, or else it's big. This probably took like 10 minutes for a hacker to make, and they can spoof a basic website like Instagram very much easily. Another thing to mention is public Wi-Fi. For the past decade, public Wi-Fi has been much better from a security perspective. My recommendation is still not to use it, just because of the fact, just because of the number of vectors a hacker can do malicious things inside this network environment. But if you actually have to, use a VPN. Using a VPN probably contracts 95% of what a hacker can do when you're using public Wi-Fi. Honestly, you don't have to use the most expensive VPN. Just use one that is not shady and from a respectable company that a lot of people uses, and you're all set. What the problem with public Wi-Fi is, if you know the password to a public Wi-Fi, literally everyone can know the password to public Wi-Fi, right? You just ask the receptionist of what the password is. If you are in the same environment as the hacker, it's very easy for them to sniff or look around and know what sites you're visiting, what information. For example, if you're actually, I hope you're not, but if you're actually doing your banking, you're sending money to another person in like a Starbucks, using a Starbucks Wi-Fi, they can potentially crack that password, crack that username, figure out the combination, and basically have your bank account. If you're in a public space, of course, it's much safer, quote unquote, using your cell phone data, as it is, as honestly, it's much more trustworthy than being in the same network environment as a hacker. Next are just a few tidbits that you should know and what to look out for in the cybersecurity space. Whenever you're looking into a browser, always check that lock thing. This is using Chrome, but if I recall correctly, Safari, Microsoft Edge, Mozilla, Firefox also has this lock thing. it's not that you shouldn't visit sites that are not secure, but you just should not enter any personal information when the site says not secure. If the site says it's not secure and you, for example, enter your critical information, basically everyone can see it. That the transmission from point A to point B, everyone can see the password, the username, and words that is easily readable. If there is a lock there, let's just say no one can see it and you're all good to fill in your payment information. Also, other tidbits are block pop-up windows. These are by default in browsers nowadays. Of course, use antivirus. One thing to note is it's not the just do it and forget everything. Antivirus is a helper, but it does not help people that are just oblivious to cybersecurity threats. And of course, download things from trustworthy sites. If you have to install things from sites, ask like your cybersecurity friends that know a thing or two about viruses, and for them to tell you that it's actually safe. This is 90% of the problems humans have right now, as the internet is booming and not everyone is able to catch up with the news. And by human nature, they are just very, very, very lazy to update their software. If I were to ask everyone that's watching right now, probably like 95% of you will have one or two software updates that you are just like, remind me later, remind me tomorrow, remind me next month. Updates are one of the most critical things that you need to look out for. The easiest way for a hacker to hack you is by using a publicly available exploit, which is basically methods of hacking that are available to the internet, and they just copy paste it and use it on you. Since if you were vulnerable, and just due to the fact that you haven't updated your phone since like 3 years ago, and of course, don't use old softwares. Like, don't use Windows XP, don't use Windows 7 anymore. There's Windows 10. Use a Mac, use Ubuntu. Don't use the latest version of Adobe. I mean the old version of Adobe. Don't use that CD-ROM that you bought in Manga Dua. It's probably an old version of Microsoft Office. There's a lot of ways a hacker can hack you if they know that you are using that version of Microsoft Office. Don't plug a USB that you found on the street to your laptop. That's just, I hope it's common knowledge. If any way possible, use two-factor authentication. Two-factor authentication is when you put in a password and an SMS will go to your phone to type in the second quote-unquote password, so that you would need two ways into which to actually access the website or like your bank account, for example. The last thing would be macros. If any of you uses like Microsoft Office applications, for example, Excel and Word, I personally do not use macros, just the fact that it's very easy to create a exploit, which is basically a way to kind of hack you. There are just so many things that can go wrong when you use macros, so learn to use Excel without macros is what I'm hoping you could do. Some of you might be asking this question: Are sites such as like Google tracking you? The answer is clearly yes. Is there anything you can do about it? Sure, you can block the permissions and reduce any, maybe your when they're seeing your location, when they're seeing what you're doing. But honestly, does it matter? In my opinion, it doesn't. I personally like it just to the fact that the ads that they would show me would be relevant to my situation, to what I like. That, in my opinion, is a good thing. Even when I'm like security minded, I would say myself. But if you do not like it, and if you think you don't want to be part of the statistics of Google, maybe try to limit that as much as possible. But I'm here to tell you that honestly, it's not possible anymore. And other things for social media, since this is such an interconnected world right now, as you all know, with Corona, you probably look at your social media much more than before. Just know that anything you upload to the internet, anything you see on the internet will always be there. There's always ways to get it back. Even if you think you've deleted it, somewhere, somehow out there, someone has a copy of it. In the world right now, there's a lot of people taking selfies, especially in the Asian communities. Honestly, a good thing to know is, in my do not show like the thumbs up photo for selfies and or the peace signs. The Asian community honestly do that a lot. But there is a way to exploit this, in which, for example, there's a bad guy that somehow took your phone away from you, and there's a picture on the internet of you with your friends having a thumbs up. With a good enough resolution, it is possible to print your thumb and use that thumbprint to log into your phone. It has been proven it is possible, especially right now with all the advances in camera technology, with all the megapixels. The consensus on how far you can show the peace sign or the thumbs up is probably 2 meters from the camera, but it will significantly rise as camera technology get better and better. Yeah, at this point, that's all for personal security. I guess we will go to a short break and for questions before I continue on to company security and some final thoughts.
Thank you, Sean. Jadi ada pertanyaan nggak? Ini saya lihat di kolom chat banyak sekali pertanyaan dari participants ya. Coba kita lihat dari paling atas. So it means we should not click on the link that has been shared on WhatsApp because it's always the easiest things to do. Gimana, Sean? Should we not click on whatever is on WhatsApp?
So security is a game of chances, right? Honestly, 90%, probably like 95% of what you get in WhatsApp is probably like not malicious and it's fine. It's just your friends pranking you or something. But when that 1% happens, you should try to, as much as possible, protect yourself, right? So honestly, the best case is to just copy and paste the link to your browser. That mitigates a lot of potential problems for yourself.
Right. Jadi sebenarnya I have this exact same question juga sama Hia Darsono. A couple of days ago kan lumayan banyak yang nanya tentang yang ngirim-ngirim tentang Mulan ya, link-link Mulan. Habis itu saya ini kan kebanyakan hyperlinknya tuh aneh-aneh. Jadi saya selalu nggak pernah klik dulu, tapi kirim ke Sean dulu. Sean, ini aman nggak? Tolong ngecekin dong. Nah biasanya Sean bilang, oh ini biasa cuma aman kok, ini nggak apa-apa kok, gitu sih. Jadi the trick is to copy the link ke your browser ya, instead of pressing it directly.
That is
Jadi di copy dari, silakan John.
Yeah, itu like one of the ways, but honestly, it's never a perfect way. If any of you are, I guess, tech savvy enough, the best way is to actually go create a virtual machine and open the link inside the virtual machine, so that even if it's a malicious link, it will only hack your virtual machine and not actually your actual machine, so that you are technically safe. You just need to like delete the machine itself.
Jadi paling aman itu copy paste linknya ke dalam browser, gitu ya. Jadi kalau kita pakai iPhone, kita nyalakan Safari, kita copy paste ke linknya ke Safari. Nah, itu ngeliat bisa aman nggak amannya itu gimana caranya, Sean?
Jadi copy and pasting the link to Safari mitigates the possibility that the link is not spoofed, so that apa yang di linknya itu apa yang bakal dibuka di Safari. Tapi to actually figure out whether or not it is a bad link, like a hacker made this link, there's a lot of possible things that you need to look out for. I would say, honestly, it's very hard to figure it out. But on the other hand, do you really care that maybe, for example, some of your bandwidth is being used just due to the fact that you have that tab open? Because this is the easiest thing to do as a hacker, to kind of just use your bandwidth, and so you unknowingly give them some of your bandwidth and maybe slow down your computer as long as you have that tab open. To actually exploit your phone, your laptop to a degree that they can get your data, or like they can play around with your phone, is highly improbable. And honestly, you don't need to worry about that too much. The chances are very slim. Just make sure that again, you have your password different. You have different passwords for all your sites and things like that. Honestly, the chances of you falling through the roof is probably higher.
Ini ada pertanyaan lagi, Sean. USB yang ketemu di jalan, kalau di format dulu, masih bahaya atau enggak?
Well, kalau format bukannya bakal dicolok dulu.
Betul, berarti kalau udah dicolok itu udah langsung kemungkinan besar bisa ada malicious firmware yang masuk gitu.
Yes. So a coworker of mine actually researched and created this kind of USB. It's called bad USB. So basically, the second you plug that USB into your laptop, your computer, basically you're screwed. There's, even if you format it, the fact that you plugged it first means that the virus, or like the Trojan, has already executed inside your computer, and you don't really have any say about it anymore. So the best, honestly, why are you even plugging something in that you don't know where it's from? Why take the risk? Just get a new one.
Right. Apalagi sekarang USB udah getting cheaper ya.
Right. Yeah, it's so cheap right now.
Right.
Ya, sekarang udah nggak pakai USB, pakainya cloud semua.
Kirim langsung lewat WhatsApp aja daripada punya USB.
Exactly.
Ahya Darsono mau ngomong tadi, silakan Ahya.
Okay, sorry Sean. Itu basically, jadi kalau USB sometimes kan we plug to, maybe if I get it from my employee. Maybe my employee got the virus in his or her computers. It means that it will be infected mine if I just plug it and then I do the do the scanning first to the USB. But it means the USB still when we plug in, the virus will be uploaded to my computer.
Well, this is a very rare situation.
Sometimes because USB, if you got USB and then we just scan for virus, right?
Yeah.
If you say that when you plug in and then the virus will get into our computer, it means that we cannot do the scanning first, right?
Right. Exactly. Hackers nowadays are very smart. Basically, if there are any human intervention that is needed to actually hack someone, they would try to kind of remove that equation. But on the other hand, that is more of your employee's fault. I mean, I wouldn't want to say that, but then figuring out whether or not the USB itself has a virus is practically near impossible now, just due to the fact that hackers are very smart. If, for example, your employee has already plugged in the USB to his computer, honestly, I don't. If your employee's computer has the virus, I have never seen a virus that actually kind of relocate itself to a USB, just because that has to be a very smart USB. And if it were to relocate to your computer, that's just an amazing technology that I want to know about. But if the USB is something that he found from the street, so that is something that honestly you need to teach your employees to kind of know security awareness and try to make them understand that this is a threat, and just basically know the few basic things to know on how to protect the data of your company and everything else in between.
Okay. Tapi sorry ya, but selama ini kalau saya lihat, maksudnya I think udah 5 or 10 years ago kali ya. Kalau kita colok USB, if satu komputer infect by virus, and then we just take the USB, we moving some file from that computer, and then we plug into another computer. Most likely the another computer will be infected, right? Itu saya rasa udah 10 or 15 years ago kayaknya ya. Rasa-rasanya sih ya. Maksudnya ya itu the best practice is the best practice is to scan the virus first when you plug the USB. But when I heard that you say that when we plug the USB and then anything will be happen before we can even scan it, right?
Yeah, I mean, 10 years ago, I honestly I don't know, but in this case, how much do you trust your antivirus? That's the question. If there's an amazing hacker out there that just created a version of USB that when you plugged it in, it will execute the virus itself and kind of extrapolate itself and replicate itself on your computer before your antivirus has an update to kind of figure these signatures out. Honestly, I would trust that the hacker would be much better than antivirus. I personally am not a fan of antiviruses, even though they help against old viruses. They are not very up to date, if you see it that way. Like some virus that just came out a week ago, do you really expect it to be able to figure it out and trying to scan it automatically and detect it before it executes on your computer? It's basically a game of cat and mouse between the hackers and your antivirus company, right?
Yep. Of course. Okay.
Tapi kan mungkin Sean, kalau sekarang ini kan kecil sekali kemungkinan USB itu bisa gampang ngehack lah, selama kita ada antivirus juga kan?
Enggak.
Enggak tuh artinya kecil sekali.
Enggak itu
atau it can happen.
It will very much happen. So I mean, first and foremost, it's very rare that a USB has a virus, right? Most USB are fine. You don't have to worry about it. Tapi if there is actually a virus, from my work, I actually tested 12 different top of the line antivirus softwares that is like tens of thousands of dollars to kind of get the enterprise versions of them. And what I found was they're very bad. Antiviruses, right, in today's standard does not block most of the hacking logic of newer hackers. There are so many new ways that a computer can get hacked, basically, and antiviruses are unable to keep up with antiviruses are unable to keep up with the breadth of hackers, the skills of the hackers that are up and coming.
Jadi mungkin kalau diperumpamain kayak antivirus, kayak corona ini, antiviruses are like the vaccine maker, and then the coronavirus is the virus. And kita nggak bisa mencegah diri kita kalau nggak mencegah diri kita pasti kita kena virus. Tapi kita ada protokol-protokol yang kita akan harus follow supaya kita sendiri nggak kena dari malicious hacker itu. Benar nggak, Sean?
Antiviruses are not the vaccine maker. They are more like the use your mask, use your wash your hands, and sanitize everything. It helps in theory. It helps cover probably like 80% of malicious things that might infect your computer. But the newer things, you need basically just, it's impossible for antiviruses to be the be all and all, basically. The full coverage, they are not good enough.
They won't guarantee you, right? They won't guarantee your safety or security, right?
Yes, it helps to cover a lot of things, but do not expect it to cover everything. That's I guess what I'm getting at.
So in your opinion, there will be no the best antivirus software right now?
There is none. I mean, there is one that is like better than the others, but nothing that are like exceptionally better, you know.
Ini ada pertanyaan dari Haryanto. Any tool that we can use to know and monitor what traffic is in and out of our phone or our computer? Jadi ada barang atau aplikasi nggak yang bisa kita pakai untuk mengetahui apa yang masuk dan keluar dari kita punya handphone atau komputer?
I would say no. From your phone, I don't think so. From your computer, you can go into the technical details you have to use the terminal to kind of figure out what kind of information are going out of your computers. But in a broad point of view, I personally do not know a way to figure this out.
Oke. Ya, mungkin break kita cukup ya, karena kalau nggak takutnya kita nggak selesai segmen kedua, mungkin kita continue dengan segmen berikutnya. Sean, silakan waktu dan tempat untuk melanjutkan segmen berikutnya.
Okay. The next segment will be more towards the small and medium-sized businesses and the best practices you can do to kind of limit your exposure to hackers. What you need to know is security will always be opposite to what you want to do for your company. Security will always be a hurdle for your scaling operations. It will slow down everything. It will make you wanna scream on top of your lungs just due to the fact that there's this one problem that you can't fix, but it is limiting maybe like 30% of your growth that year. But on the other hand, if you are starting a business and are not thinking about the security standpoint, it will creep up in scope for the future, and it will basically bite you in the butt when something bad happens to you. If you are a small company, quote unquote, maybe like 5 to 10 people, saving your data in multiple hard drive might still be a possibility, but in this day and age, honestly, using the cloud is the thing, right? The cloud is safe, it's secure as long as you're using a reputable company. I mean, just go with like the big names, Microsoft, Amazon. You can't really go wrong with them. Use their storage site. It's very cheap. Just save everything there. Do backup of your backups, just to make sure that when something bad happens, you have a fallback to go to. And companies honestly don't really see the importance of having backups of your backups when the backup of your backup has been compromised. Also, for your employees, the easiest thing to do is 1, encrypt your hard drive. 2, backup again your computer, your hard drive, your data, and 3, update your softwares. Encrypting your hard drives is probably the easiest way. On Mac, you just need to go to System Preferences, Security and Settings. There's the little button, File Vault. You just need to press on. Basically, that's literally it. In Windows, you can just Google it, how to encrypt your hard drive. It's very easy. And it's to make sure that when, I hope it doesn't happen, but when your laptop gets lost or stolen, the person who gets your laptop will not be able to see anything inside your laptop. Just the fact that as long as your password is good and they don't guess it or like figure it out, they will never be able to reverse engineer your hard drive to figure out its content, and your sensitive company data will be safe. Again, updates are probably one of the most important things out there. Publicly available exploits for things like WordPress or Adobe is probably in the thousands right now. There are multiple ways to exploit them if you're using the old versions of applications such as these. Applications to note are like probably the ones that millions of people use. In Indonesia, obviously, whenever you used to buy software bajakan di Mangga 2, it's very easy since you won't be able to update the software, the game, the application. It's very easy as long as a hacker knows that you're using that application. It's a very easy hack for them to get into your system and basically to do anything they want to your system. education. Educating your employees is probably the biggest bang for your buck spending out there, especially in the cybersecurity space, since humans are always going to be the weakest link in security. Training them, doing maybe a security awareness training every year, maybe every half year, goes a long way in the possible ways a hacker can hack your company. And if possible, get a third-party hacking company to just hack you to figure out where you're vulnerable, where the loopholes are in your security, and to basically stop the bad guys from hacking you by getting the good guys to hack you and tell you what's wrong. A last anecdote, in July 2020, a couple of months ago, 120 big names like Barack Obama, Elon Musk, Kanye West was hacked. It wasn't their fault. It was Twitter's fault, actually. The hack was simply a 19-year-old kid from Oregon, if I'm not mistaken, basically called up a Twitter employee and asked for their username and password. He pretended to be an IT employee from Twitter, and he wants the username and password to basically access the customer service portal and fix something. From that credential that he got from the employee, he was able to get something called a low privilege account in Twitter's environment. And from there, he was able to basically see Elon Musk's, basically exploit Twitter's whole environment and able to sign in to these big names Twitter account and post anything he wants. This is what is problematic for companies. As you can see, it's not a technical hack. It's more of a social engineering act. There's very little technical skills going on. It's just him asking some employee for their credentials, and from there he got everything that he wanted. As you can see, there's so much more to security than just technical in the technical perspective. Employees probably go, I would say, be around 60 to 70% of the problem, and please just train your employees, give them some security awareness training, and you will be you will be at a much better security frame than your competitor that does not train their employees. As a final anecdote, I just want to show a couple of two clips that show what Hollywood thinks hacking is, and what you guys probably think what hacking is. It's just a 2-minute video. I'll explain what's going on after the two clips.
No voice.
Ini memang nggak ada suaranya, Sean.
Nggak ada ya? There should be. Oh, sorry. Kedengeran nggak?
Ya, oke, ada.
Someone synced a rat to one of my servers. Remote access tool. We're being hacked.
By Locksat?
I don't know.
But we've been so careful. How could they find us?
They haven't found us yet. Just cracked the outer layer of our system. I'll start an intrusion inspection and find out who our rat is.
Uh-oh.
What?
They're onto us. Vikram's trying to track our IP address.
Oh, can you stop it?
No. But I can slow him down.
It's coming from inside the city, trying to narrow it down.
So yeah, that is a lot of jargons being used, and everything you see is probably very much fake. There's a lot of pictures, there's a lot of fancy jargons being used. Pictures there was like firewall percentages being broken. That is basically impossible in the actual technical field. We would not see any GUI or graphical user interface for one, and hacking is almost never real time. Like, for example, these are two parties trying to hack each other, and basically this is not impossible. This is impossible. I'll show you another clip of something a tiny smudge bit that is more possible.
Step 1. Identify the target and its flaws. There are always flaws. I learned that early in life. My first hack, the local library, a vulnerable FTP server and its AS400, a far cry from the Android 0 days I'm using to own the FBI standard issue smartphone. The library was a test to see if I could even get into the system. I've since set greater goals. For instance, step 2, build malware and prepare an attack. At my fingertips, the 0 days wrapped in code like a Christmas present then becomes an exploit. The programmatic expression of my will. I live for this shit. Step 3, a reverse shell 2-stage exploit. The ideal package. Load the malware into a femtocell delivery system. My personal.
So a lot of these jargons that he said is true. It is possible to hack someone that way. Maybe not the FBI, but it is possible if the situation is exactly like that. As you can see, there's just words, there's just letters in what he types. There's no pictures, there's no fancy firewall percentages. It's just purely letters, numbers, and everything that a human can read in front of his screen. But when you think about hacking, it's not this fast. You hear him talking quite fast, typing very slowly, going from step 1, step 2, step 3. In the real world, honestly, going from step 1 to step 2 takes probably a month of reconnaissance, of research, of figuring out what the FBI uses as their phone. Yeah, basically hacking moves very slowly. The reason why some hacks kind of pop up is more due to the fact that media blows them up rather than what the hack actually does. So hacking in general is very boring from a bystander's perspective. All you see are words on the screen, on a very tiny screen. But as a hacker myself, I know that this screen shows me a lot more information than those pretty pictures, those percentages, those firewall getting breached. But it's hours upon hours of me sitting on my computer and figuring out the attack vector to which to actually exploit the person or hack the person as a whole. And yeah, that is
System breach.
Oh.
Firewall 1.
We got a problem.
And some final thoughts. The world is very unsafe, especially when there's a lot more internet users when Corona just started. What you should know is that our goal is never for perfect security. It's to be better than the person next to us so that the hackers hack them rather than yourself. Hackers are very lazy. If there's an easy target, they will always hack them. And you will be safe as long as you are a step or two ahead of your competitor.
Oke, thank you Sean. Kita lanjut ke pertanyaan kali ya.
Mungkin dari Asia Aceh ada yang mau bertanya langsung ke Sean. Mungkin silakan, bisa langsung aja dinyalakan screen-nya dan mikrofonnya seperti itu. Ini saya lihat di grup chat ada juga yang bertanya tentang personal Wi-Fi. Personal Wi-Fi yang kita pasang di rumah, apakah itu aman dan apakah itu bisa dihack sama orang dari Gmedia? Gmedia ini mungkin providernya ya maksudnya ya. Atau mungkin Aceh Lilis Henry bisa info langsung yang mau ditanyakan?
Ya, Gmedia itu providernya. Jadi apakah maksudnya orang dalam kan bisa saya pasang wifi di Gmedia, apakah bisa dihack oleh orang Gmedia sendiri?
Balik ke omongan password, as long as you actually change the default password and make it to a difficult one, your Wi-Fi is being owned by you and not by them. Again, after you change your password, but it is possible for them to know your activities. Hacking is a big word to use here. They will for sure know your activities on the internet. They will know what sites you visit. Again, if you want to stop that, you can use a VPN, and that will 99% of the time stop your provider to on sniffing or like being looking over your shoulder on what you surf on the web.
Oh. Jadi I must change the password for the Wi-Fi access ya?
Yes, so default passwords are horrible. You can basically Google them up and Google will tell you what your default password is. So the first time you get your router or your whatever you get from your ISP, change the password.
Oh iya, oke. Ya.
Tapi artinya Sean itu kalau si provider bisa melihat kegiatan kita, bisa nge-track kita kemana saja websitenya, tapi apakah kalau si provider ini bisa nge-hack informasi kita?
Hack informasi as in like things that you input on your website, maksudnya gitu kayak if you go to clickbait, you enter the password.
Betul.
This goes back to the HTTP/HTTPS yang on your browser ada the lock thing. As long as you have that lock and when you input information on that lock on a website that has that lock, you are basically safe. Again, nothing is 100% for sure safe. If you want to, and if you trust a VPN, use that. That is a much safer way, just due to the fact that the company itself wants security and strive for security rather than your ISP, which wants basically customers.
Jadi about
Tapi VPN sendiri itu aman nggak?
Nah, itu dia pertanyaannya.
This is a question on trust. So there is no right answer for this. As long it depends on which company you trust more, honestly. But from your VPN's like terms of service, they should write down that they explicitly do not like track your data and all that. But on the other hand, your ISP, I would say 90% of the time will not have that.
Can you recommend like 2 or 3 VPN services?
It's very highly subjective. I use ExpressVPN for personal stuff and Mulvad for work, just the fact that that is what work gave us.
Apa namanya? VPN Express dan
ExpressVPN sama Mulvad. Mulvad is very manual intensive, so you need to know a bit about security. But ExpressVPN is what I would say I would recommend to people.
Oke. Mungkin kita ke next question ya, Bro Ian ya. Ini ada siapa nih?
Ahya Kurnia ada pertanyaan tuh kayaknya.
Oke, Ahya Kurnia mungkin bisa tanya langsung ke Bro Sean.
Boleh Sean, ya. Very good presentation intro ya saya rasa. Saya rasa ini masih belum very technical banget gitu. Dan tapi saya rasa di sini agak bingung mau tanya kamu apa ya. Mungkin saya tanya dari personal experience aja deh. Nah, Sean, gimana kita tahu ya kalau kita terima threatening email gitu? Dia bilang, oh kita ada visit site-site ini, nanti saya akan expose you punya jejak gitu. Terus habis itu disuruh bayar ke Bitcoin, nomornya berapa. Saya terima beberapa kali, saya cuek aja. Cuman just in case ke depan benar-benar kena yang real gitu. So can you tell us how to identify a real threat? Please.
Honestly, there is no way to identify a real threat. Just know that majority of the time it's complete nonsense. They will emails for sure it's very easy to send emails, right? You just have a couple clicks of a button and it's sent to like hundreds of thousands of people. What you could do is verify what he says and basically make sure that what he's threatening you is not real or like it actually just doesn't happen.
Okay, so we have no chance to know whether the threat is real, so we have to take our chances then.
Well, I mean, if I were to tell you I've been looking at your webcam for the last year, would you trust me?
Well, possible, because you have the background to infiltrate, I would say.
Jadi mungkin kayak gini ya, kalau nggak ada bukti jangan dipercaya. Jadi kalau misalnya contoh, saya penculik anak, kalau saya nggak fotoin anak Anda, jangan percaya aja. Mungkin kayak gitu kali ya, Sean?
Yes, I think in the hacker community also, it's very hard to prove that you did something. Like in what the Tokopedia hacker gave us was a snippet of the data that he got from Tokopedia. From there, Tokopedia can verify whether or not it's real or not, or whether or not the set data actually came from their database. From there, they can figure out whether they want to pay or they want to actually buy out this hacker and give him basically hush money. In your case, honestly, as long as you don't you were not given any proof of their threats, my personal judgment say just ignore it.
Okay, noted. Okay, I have another, company experience. Yeah, once, well, the one was hacked was our customer. So basically, we have an export customer in Hong Kong. So we were negotiating and discussing about our sale. Yeah. Then later on, we concluded there's a sale. We sent them invoice, and we waited for money to be transferred, right? But after some time, the customer actually asked us why we didn't ship our goods. Then we told them that no, we didn't get your money. And they checked their account. They actually transferred to somebody else. Gitu. Nah, itu maybe you can enlighten us what had happened.
Well, a number of things can happen. Unless I actually look into it, honestly, it's very hard to know. It could be like someone was in the middle of the communication between you and your customer, and they it is possible to actually change communications in between 2 points. For example, like if I was talking to you through chat, there are instances where it's possible for you to send, for example, hi Pemuda Teacher Indonesia. But for some reason, when I receive it, it's hello Pemuda Teacher Indonesia. It is possible to change that to figure out what actually happened in between your company. The communication between your company is very I would need to dig deeper into it, and you would need to like give me a lot of background information more. So honestly, I cannot give a judgment on this.
Okay. Later on, we came to know because our customer in Hong Kong, they reported to the police. So what they found, there was a breach on their side. Somebody intercepted our conversation. It was only that last part when they're supposed to send them information that where to send the money. The hacker actually sent them the bank details, and it was from Indonesia. So they actually paid at the wrong account. But interestingly, our mail did not arrive there. So they must have somehow, send away the email or whatever. So yeah,
right, exactly. If a hacker actually have access to the entire system, it's very easy for them to make sure what information is received by the person, by the computer, and what information is not received by the computer. And basically they can create their own, they can send their own email impersonating as you, right? It's very easy to do this once they are actually inside the system. Our goal is honestly to stop that from happening. Just due to the fact that once you are in the system, you're busted. Honestly, it's very hard for you to do anything at that point.
Yeah. That happens about, I would think about 3-4 years ago. But lately, we haven't heard much of such cases. But I understand during that time, there's a lot of cases we heard from friends. Yeah. So luckily, not much money was lost. Not too much money was lost during that transaction. But I heard some cases worth a lot of money. Okay, good explanation. Mungkin saya pass back to open to floor yang kira-kira ada yang mau tanya lah. Saya rasa topik-topik ini penting sekali karena banyak orang tidak sadar itu sebenarnya ya email kita sebenarnya udah pernah di spawn di namanya pawn ya, Sean. Tadi I have been pawned ya.
Have I been pawned?
Yeah, I've checked mine. I think so. There's 3. So I have to find out.
Especially old emails, there's a good chance that it has been pawned. Again, if it's password that you don't use anymore, you don't really need to care. Just know that do not use that specific password again. Just the fact that someone that looks into your credentials, as in your email and password combination, can just easily put that into other sites, right? So just don't use it anymore.
Right. Okay. Ada yang lain?
Ya, silakan Ahedian.
Oke, Pak, kirain ada yang mau tanya tadi. Oke, San, aku mau tanya ini. Kan kita pakai data, misalnya sehari-hari kan kita pakai email, kemudian buka akun Tokopedia atau akun apa gitu ya. Yang rasanya data personal sih sepertinya tidak, menurut saya sih tidak terlalu dalam tanda petik berharga banget ya, karena kan cuman ya nama, alamat kayak gitu tuh. Saya pribadi sih merasa kalau misalnya ada orang hacker kemudian mengambil itu data, sebenarnya untuk apa sih datanya?
Company kayak Google, Facebook gitu sebenarnya menjual data-data ini ke company-company lain. Bisa company-company lain yang membeli data ini bisa gunakan misalnya nama, alamat, mungkin aktivitas orang untuk kayak membuat produk yang lebih bagus untuk mereka, produk yang lebih direct ke data-data yang mereka beli. Sebenarnya mungkin alamat terlalu ekstrim ya. I think it's very bad if a hacker gets your address. Tapi kayak misalnya nama, city were born, gender gitu-gitu yang sebenarnya nggak terlalu penting, ya orang masih bisa ambil gara-gara, for example, Tokopedia kalau udah kehack, kelihatan bahwa 70% akun yang sign up ke Tokopedia itu wanita dan tinggal kebanyakan di Jakarta dan Bogor. Kenapa itu? Mungkin company-company lain bakal beli dari hacker ini informasi itu, dan dari situ menggunakan data ini untuk membuat produk yang lebih bagus yang bisa kejual ke orang-orang ini. Kalau dipikir begitu ya sebenarnya kita nggak rugi, malahan ada bagus, ada company lain bisa membuat produk untuk kita yang lebih bagus. Tapi kalau misalnya digunakan untuk sesuatu yang lebih jahat, misalnya kalau address kena hack dan ada hacker yang bisa tahu address kita, tahu address, tahu nama, tahu keluarga berapa orang, tahu di rumah biasa ada berapa orang. Terus misalnya kalau corona sudah selesai, terus di Instagram akhirnya ngepost di Instagram lagi jalan-jalan ke Bali. Kalau misalnya akhirnya lagi di Jakarta dan alamat, si hacker tahu alamat, tahu akhirnya lagi di Bali, satu keluarga di Bali, di rumah gak ada orang, pasti di rumah mungkin ada satpam atau apa, bisa beberapa hari nge-surveillance. Tapi home invasion is a very easy thing at that point, just to the fact that there's so much information that the hacker or like the bad guy knows. To a point where I personally, in university, I learned how to pick a lock. I know how to evade video cameras. I personally have basically, through a back door, took some patient files from my university clinic just because it was all part of a class. Of course, this is legal. We signed an NDA with the clinic director and all that. But with so much information out there that you can use to kind of do much more than just cybersecurity, is again always related to physical security as well. There's so many more things that a person can know prior to actually doing something bad to you or planning something bad to you. Of course, this is a very extreme situation, and there is motive towards you. 99% of the time, hackers hack you just due to chance, and it's easy for them. And going to your house is not easy for them. It's going the extra mile, and it's very rare. So just I guess it is always a possibility, and just keep that in mind. But do not worry too much about it, as long as you do good in the world.
Ya, lanjut ya. Soalnya kan sekarang kan orang lebih senengnya bikin akun Instagram, kemudian posting lagi vacation, lagi foto anaknya, foto ya keluarganya kayak gitu ya. Apakah itu sebenarnya kita membuat jerat untuk orang, kalau misalnya ada hacker ngambil seperti itu terus membahayakan kita sendiri? Karena kita mengekspos hal itu kan.
Yeah, exactly. So in my opinion, it's fine as long as you don't post too much personal information. Honestly, at this point, there's so many people on Instagram. There's so many people posting their babies, their kids, their grandmas. As long as you are just one of them and don't go the extra mile to kind of take a photo of your address somewhere, you are not the prime victim of a hacker. Just know that once you post that, again, it will always be in the internet, and it will always be an information that a hacker will know about you. And whether they can use that or not against you, of course, it is always a case-by-case basis. But then again, I can't really say without actually knowing all the things that you expose on the internet.
Ya, setuju. Berarti artinya kalau misalnya kita sudah membuat di Facebook, kemudian kita udah posting-posting di Instagram, itu artinya kita sudah membiarkan informasi, apakah itu private atau yang rahasia, itu ke publik, dan itu ada resikonya gitu kan ya. Jadi ya kalau saya pribadi sih, saya nggak terlalu seneng expose untuk hal-hal personal ya. Jadi itu yang salah satu yang menjadi kekhawatiran saya personal. Cuman kelihatannya zaman sekarang orang justru lebih senang expose personal dia keluar gitu, dan tanpa mengetahui bahwa di luar itu sangat berbahaya informasi seperti ini beredar gitu. Misalnya anaknya sekolah di mana, kelas berapa, kan suka kadang-kadang kan ibu sama bapaknya kan suka posting-posting. Itu sebenarnya berbahaya buat keluarga tersebut gitu. Ya, begitu ya.
Exactly. Yes. Just know that, I mean, honestly, it's fine to an extent. But as long as the person posting knows that, knows and kind of decides that these information cannot be used against me harmful against me in any way, or at least like not that harmful to me, it's fine. Just know that it will always be there, and hackers will use it against you if it is possible.
Oke, thank you, San.
Mungkin kalau dari saya, untuk teman-teman yang suka posting-posting barang-barang mahal atau jalan-jalan ke Paris atau apa, tapi di SPT-nya lapornya duitnya pendapatannya cuma UMR, itu hati-hati aja karena orang pajak bisa aja ngecek sampai sana.
But it's true, orang pajak memang ngeceknya sampai ke sana.
Makanya hati-hati itu Instagram boleh aja kita keren-keren, tapi begitu you punya SPT cuma lapor UMR, tapi you punya Instagram luar biasa, itu. Mungkin dari Ahya Aceh yang lain ada yang mau bertanya kepada Sean?
Saya mau share aja ya.
Oke, Wisnu.
Kalau boleh saya share ya.
Ya, silakan.
Jadi ya, yang pasti gini, kalau handphone mungkin bagi saya, pengalaman saya mungkin susah di agak tembus ya. Kalau dari iOS sama Android, kecuali kita install aplikasinya asal. Nah, yang pasti saya pernah pengalaman Spotify saya itu dipakai sama orang lain. Jadi tiba-tiba playlist saya kacau gitu. Suatu hari saya lagi denger lagu, kok ada playlist gini ya? Saya nggak pernah dengar, mungkin ada kesalahan. Akhirnya saya denger lagu gitu. Ternyata saya denger lagu di sebelah sana ganti lagu lagi. Jadi saya sama orang itu berantem jadinya. Buka lagu, dia buka lagu apa, saya buka lagu apa. Nah, kecurigaan saya, akhirnya saya lapor ke Spotify gitu kan. Spotify bilang, oke, kita riset semua deh, kata dia. Karena nggak bisa riset di tempat kita, di Spotify itu, di riset semua. Habis itu, sudah, biarin aja kan. Habis itu, saya connect lagi Spotify saya ke laptop gitu ya. Nah, makanya dari laptop ini yang bahaya nih kayaknya nih. Kebanyakan dari PC atau laptop ini yang bahaya. Begitu connect ke Spotify lagi, kena lagi. Gitu. Jadi habis itu saya nggak pernah lagi connect Spotify di laptop saya gitu. Ya kan? Jadi itu yang pengalaman saya sih gitu. Jadi saya kira kayak sekarang di luaran ya banyak yang jual account Netflix lah, account apalah yang murah gitu ya. Itu kan berarti kan sebenarnya diambil sama orang kan, passwordnya, username-nya dan sebagainya. Nah itu berarti kan sebenarnya kita tuh bahaya sekali kalau kita nggak menjalankan security protokol ini gitu. Itu aja sih pengalaman saya.
From the information yang dikasih, kemungkinan besar itu hacker udah masuk ke laptop daripada Spotify-nya yang bermasalah ya. Of course, suggestion is to format your computer or your laptop so that basically when you log into Spotify with your laptop, it won't happen again. But this is a misconception, I guess, towards iPhone and iOS and Android users now. Sudah banyak sekali possibilities of getting hacked on your phone. Android much more than iOS, just the fact that Android is very open. There's a lot of developers and hackers that use Android, just the fact that iOS is very restrictive on their system and environment, and it's quote unquote hackers don't wanna take the effort to build those viruses for iOS, due to the fact that again there's more Android users, there's less iOS users, and hence there are more targets for Android hackers than iOS users. That said, though, since PCs, Windows have been used for much longer than phones extensively, there are even much more hackers in the PC world rather than the smartphone world. This can change at any point of time, just to the fact that smartphones are becoming more prevalent in the world. But just know that hackers can hack your phone as well as easy as it is to hack your laptop. Just do the basic guidelines of cybersecurity, and honestly, you should be good to go in both perspectives.
Ya, mungkin ada yang
tambahan
lain.
dikit ya, tambahan dikit. Yang masalah Spotify saya itu, ternyata kan biasanya setelah kita ketahuin kita ada yang nusup kan, pasti langkah kita pertama adalah ganti password kan. Akhirnya saya ganti password Google, ganti password Spotify gitu kan, dibikin beda gitu ya. Tapi tetap balik gitu loh. Sampai kita harus email ke Spotify bahwa ini saya kayaknya ada yang pakai account saya gitu. Dan itu negara di Eropa gitulah, di sekitar Middle East gitu kan. Makanya saya bingung juga gitu. Nah, baru setelah di reset sama Spotify, baru bisa kembali account-nya. Maksudnya nggak ada gangguan lagi sejak itu gitu. Jadi artinya ganti password pun sebenarnya kita juga udah dimonitoring nih gitu loh. Itu hebatnya hacker-hacker itu.
Well, first of all, why did you have to change your Google password? It should be different from your Spotify password in the first place. But on the other hand, I think it's more of there's a Trojan in your laptop. I cannot be sure at this point just because there is not enough information.
Yeah.
Tapi kalau kayak misalnya a hacker is actually inside your computer and they can see everything inside your computer, changing your password doesn't really matter just because they can see it again, right? But I guess if you say that the hacker cannot see your or access your Spotify account after Spotify resets your password, I guess it is not the case that the hacker is inside your system, but more of a the hacker was able to figure out your information to an extent that he can get your password through the use of Spotify. For example, like they know your full name, your address, your work address, your phone number, your type of phone that you use. With that, they can verify to Spotify that he is you, and basically request authentication to Spotify. That is also a possibility, and how hackers buy and sell data. With enough information to convince a company that you are that he is you, they can get your password even without guessing and just straight up asking the company for it.
Ya, oke, thank you, Sam.
Mungkin kalau dari saya tambah ini ada tambahan. Ini hal yang sama yang biasanya kalau data-data kayak tempat tinggal kita, nama lengkap kita, dan mungkin nama ibu kandung, ya kan? Terus kita punya alamat, itulah pertanyaan yang ditanyakan oleh orang perbankan. Nah, waktu misalnya kita telepon halo BCA, dia akan tanya mungkin informasi ini semua. Dan kalau informasi ini semua diketahui oleh hacker, mereka orang perbankan kan tentu kalau informasi itu semua ditanya dengan benar, orang perbankan akan mengira betul kamu adalah nasabah tersebut, sehingga itu yang menjadi satu faktor resiko kan. Jadi memang ya, menurut saya pribadi personal information itu betul-betul sebisa mungkin kalau tidak perlu tidak usah di-share ya siapapun. Mungkin dari ahli Aceh yang lain ada yang mau ditanyakan atau bagaimana, silakan.
Saya boleh tanya dikit dengan soalnya. Sejak kita punya smartphone sama perkembangan sampai sekarang ya, kelihatannya memang kita udah nggak ada privacy sih. Jadi saya juga mengamati, misalnya ya kalau kita gunakan Google ya, kemudian kita booking tiket. Jadi sometimes kalau kita perhatiin dari Google itu mereka bisa notify kita akan stay di hotel itu kapan, kita perjalanan dengan tiket apa. Jadi dari situ itu sebenarnya kita kemanapun sometimes somehow itu Google bisa tahu. Itu cuma dari sisi Google ya. Dari sisi operating system saya juga percaya bahwa mereka pasti ada trackernya di dalam. Even any application itu ada trackernya sebenarnya. Nah, dari experience-nya soal itu mungkin ada informasi bagaimana supaya kita bisa minimize lah, karena nggak mungkin kita menghilangkan tracker itu 100%, I believe. Jadi sejak kita udah menggunakan smartphone sampai sekarang itu basically kita udah nggak ada privacy sih menurut saya.
In my opinion, yes. There is no way to be 100% private anymore in the world of smartphones and smart everything. What you can do is basically just limit the permissions that you give to your phone. Like, for example, if location services is a thing that you worry about, limit everything to only allow while using. That limits a lot of things. For example, like Snapchat, if you set the permission to allow always, your friend in Snapchat can actually always track you where you are, just the fact that it is a feature in Snapchat to see where your friends are in the world, literally anywhere in the world. Changing it to while open, I think if is the term, while open or even never, can help mitigate this. Of course, if you basically go to Google and type in anything, literally anything, Google will, I hope not, but maybe sell this information to Snapchat, for example, and kind of give a broad general idea of your location. A way to mitigate everything, again, is using a VPN. Even on your phone, there are VPN services. But again, it's a matter of who you trust as the company and what you really want to know, what you really want companies to know about you. I personally don't really care enough if, like I said, if they cater ads to me, to what I like, to my activities personally, but I turn off almost every location services just because I care about where I am and what companies know where I'm located. The only time that an application I allow to know where I am is when I open Google Maps and I have to like drive somewhere that I've never been to and like figure out the road, right? That is the only feature of location services I use. Again, this is very subjective. Depends on how much you want companies to know about you and how much information you want to leak out and for companies to sell to others. And yeah, it's basically a very open world right now, and there isn't much for us as consumers of these smart devices to go to the extent of blocking them. There isn't much good for us to actually do it as well, just because it's almost impossible at this point.
Oke, mungkin akhirnya Aceh yang lain ada pertanyaan atau ada yang mau sharing?
Saya mau tanya. Saya pernah berdiskusi dengan teman perihal email. Bahwa ada yang pakai Yahoo, ada yang pakai Gmail. Menurut teman saya, Gmail itu paling aman. Kalau selain Gmail itu mudah sekali dihack. Nah, karena saya pernah ngalami teman yang pakai Gmail itu dihack. Jadi itu membuat kami berbahas. Nah, menurut San itu benar atau tidak?
Maaf, tapi dua-duanya salah. Kemungkinan besar Gmail teman kena hack gara-gara apa yang dia lakukan dan bukan gara-gara si Gmailnya sendiri. Balik ke topik percaya company mana, harus diketahui 100% bahwa Gmail kan punya Google. Dan Google bakal store semua email yang semua orang yang pakai Gmail punya. Apakah ini termasuk Google nge-hack kita? Gara-gara dia simpan semua data kita dan semua email kita? Ini buat diskusi yang lain, tapi aman itu sangat relatif. Itu tergantung company mana yang dipercaya, company mana yang memikirkan security mereka, dan blind luck basically. On the perspective of security of a person, the best email to use, well, of course, not using email in the first place, but the second best solution is something that the email is thinking about security rather than availability and user base. One provider that comes to mind is ProtonMail. The company strive for secrecy in their email, and they do not read or collect their user base's email information or contents, while of course Google saves everything in their database, right? So do you actually think that if Google is safer than other emails, do you really think that your information is still not out there? It's a misconception of what you think is secure versus what the world actually sells your information and how they get your information. Getting hacked and getting your information stolen, is it not basically the same thing in this world right now already? I guess that would, yeah. If your friend got hacked and their personal information got leaked out, but then Google actually just explicitly says that they save their users' emails and contents, isn't that basically the same thing?
Cara paling aman mungkin seperti yang tadi di awal disampaikan, Sen. Rajin-rajin ganti password dengan karakter banyak.
So no, that is a misconception as well. My personal opinion is to never change your password, but have different passwords for everything and use a password manager and all that. It has been shown that changing passwords for maybe like every 3 months, every 6 months encourages people to write down their passwords, just the fact that they will forget what password they're using now, right? So it's hard to kind of give a direct answer, just to the fact that hacking goes a long way into talking about data and how companies already collect data from us as a whole knowingly. But then hackers are just the bad guys that steals them, and the media says that we're the bad guys, even though big companies already do that in the first place.
Oke, thank you. Jadi
Saya mau tanya dong.
ya. Oke, makasih.
Randy, aku mau tanya ya. San, dari tadi kan kita kalau berbicara dengan ahli security itu kan selalu berbicara risiko. Ya, lebih banyak kita bicara don't ya. Nah, seperti yang kita ketahui sekarang ini kan kita nih makin digital hidup kita. Semua itu makin tergantung ke internet. Dan kita tahu internet itu memang sesuatu yang terbuka lah ya. Nggak ada yang bisa ditutupin di internet. Kita bicara Facebook. Sebelum kita ngalami banyak masalah dengan Facebook sekarang, mungkin 10 tahun atau 15 tahun yang lalu, Facebook itu sangat berguna. Buat sebagian besar orang itu sangat berguna. Oke. Terus kita bicara mengenai Google. Google itu menguasai dan mendominasi kehidupan internet kita. Gmail, ya. Saya punya domain email sendiri @claris.com misalkan. Saya terlalu banyak kirim melalui domain email saya dimasukin spam. Saya harus laporan ke Gmail. Saya mau aman, saya harus hosting ke Gmail. Baru email saya aman, tidak masuk ke spam terus. Terus kita bicara mengenai location. Kalau saya membatasi akses, membatasi permission di aplikasi, misalnya Gojek, kita nggak bisa menghindari nih. Penggunaan Gojek, OVO, ya, e-money ini mereka mengkolek data kita. Terus kita juga harus membuka permission untuk lokasi dan lain-lain. Oke. Menurut San bagaimana menghadapi hal seperti itu? Apakah kita akan harus tetap membatasi diri, sedangkan kehidupan kita ini semakin tergantung terhadap hal-hal digital seperti itu? Thank you, San.
There is no straightforward answer to this, right? It's all a balancing act of the availability and the usage of the apps we use nowadays, and how much information you want to keep leaking out to the world. From a security standpoint, the world is getting much more dangerous. There's no good way of saying it. But maybe, for example, just limit as much as possible, if you want to, the permissions of the app that you use, just to only when you use it, goes a long way already. But then again, big companies such as Google, such as Facebook, really have a monopoly of our data, and they basically can get anything they want at this point in time. Unless you want to go against them, there is no way around it, unfortunately. And I honestly cannot give a straight answer, just the fact that it depends from person to person, and depending on what information you want to give out to the world, in against to what usability you want from your apps, of course. I hope that clarifies a bit.
Ing, masih ada lagi, Ing?
Jadi mungkin tergantung diri kita sendiri ya, Sean, kayak seberapa banyak kita mau expose keluar. Kalau kita oke, data kita merasa nggak terlalu penting, kita biarin ke expose, ya nggak apa-apa. Tapi kan beda orang punya beda views on privacy ya.
Mungkin saya di sini tambah ya. Mungkin di sini agak bingung ya. Ini sebenarnya berapa serius sih? Saya pernah ketemu, maksudnya ikut conference lah ya. Waktu itu di Indonesia. Nah ini penulis buku ini namanya Future Crimes. Nah dia itu kalau nggak salah FBI, ya, bagian digital crime. Nah itu namanya Mark Goodman. Nah, dia bilang sebenarnya Indonesia punya hacker ya, community itu boleh bilang number 1, number 2 gitu. Jadi tadi saya ada tanya, Sean, ini sebenarnya Indonesian hacker lebih hebat dari Russian hacker lah. Posisi mereka seperti apa? Gitu. Itu satu. Terus mungkin juga Sean boleh sharing sedikit lah darknet itu apa. Jadi supaya kita ini semua bisa ngintip nih di darknet ini mau beli data saya berapa sih harganya. Gitu. Coba silakan jelasin sedikit tentang the other side of internet.
Russian versus Indonesian hackers. I think we are creeping up to be better in our technical skills. The reason why Russian hackers are actually very infamous in the world is because of their ethics. Russian hackers do not care about ethics whatsoever. They disregard any. Basically, they have the skills and the capabilities to hack the world, and they do not care as long as they can show to the world that they can prove themselves. This is why, honestly, Russian hackers are very infamous in the world, even towards people that do not know what hacking is as a whole. Indonesian hackers, though, from what I see, from my experience, that which is all I can say at this point, is that we care too much about what other people will see. Since hackers want to stay anonymous, but on the other hand, it is getting more and more impossible to be anonymous. Indonesian hackers do not want to go that extra mile to hack maybe the FBI, the CIA of the world, and just calm down, lay low, work for a company or two, and basically better their skill set that way. Whilst, as I said, Russian do not care. They can basically hack the CIA. They hack the FBI and all that. And which is why in the world you don't really see Indonesian hackers being infamous in the media, while Russian hackers are always out there being the top dog of the world. Of course, there's no right answer to which one is better. Russian hackers, without their ethics, they excel a lot in the hacking community, while Indonesian hackers, while we're quote unquote the good guys in the hacker world, we are still good in our skill set, if you think about it that way. Darknet wise, if you think about the internet, you think about how big it is, how wide it is, how there's a crap ton of information out there about your family, about your dog, about your grandma, about your great grandma. But this is basically just the tip of the iceberg of the entire internet. The 98% of the internet belongs to the dark web. Accessing the dark web is not an easy feat. It's not as straightforward as putting a URL on the browser. It requires like special kind of browser. Quite distributed one is called Tor. If you don't want to look deeper into the dark world of the internet, I suggest you to not actually Google it. But on the other hand, if you want to learn more, Tor is basically, going back, the internet is basically a world of computers running around in the globe, giving out information, giving out data from one part of the world to another. Being able to access the darknet is basically being able to access the computers that are hidden from the regular browsers and being able to kind of communicate with those computers as well. The reason why it's not famous is just because there requires a certain threshold of technical expertise to visit them. Albeit it's not that hard to do. It's just there's an extra step, and most people just don't want to learn the ways. But it is a place where hackers sell their hack data. It's where people sell stolen credit card information. It's where they sell drugs, they sell guns, and all that. And to explain more about it is basically just to make you imagine like the bad things that you think the internet has. It is basically what the darknet is. And again, as you know, a lot of the payments processes are through Bitcoin, which is a decentralized currency, but I don't want to talk about it because it can span 2 hours. So I'll leave it at that.
Okay, thank you.
Oke, mungkin dari Ahya Aceh ada pertanyaan lagi, silakan. Ini ada door prize untuk teman-teman yang sudah menonton hari ini. Ada 2 door prize. Door prize pertama itu untuk teman-teman yang berminat untuk join Pemuda Tiochu, ya, nanti jadi bisa ke www.pemudatiochu.com. Untuk teman-teman yang masih belum member yang menonton di YouTube Live sekarang ini, ya, kita ada door prize berupa cool box dari Claris. Nah, itu mungkin 5 pendaftar pertama, ya, dari hari ini nanti diundi bisa mendapatkan door prize ini. Nah, itu untuk door prize yang untuk pendaftar yang akan menjoin Pemuda Tiochu hari ini. Tapi ada juga door prize untuk teman-teman yang hadir saat ini, ya. Ada pertanyaan nih, kalau bisa menjawab silakan chat di kita punya Zoom chat, yang bisa menjawab pertama yang nanti dapat door prize-nya. Oke, pertanyaannya ini untuk teman-teman yang join pertama-tama nih, yang mungkin bisa lebih gampang menjawab. Mungkin pertanyaannya adalah, Sean bekerja di perusahaan apa? Tadi ada disebut di awal-awal. Silakan teman-teman yang tahu jawabannya di chat. Oke, ini saya sudah lihat Ahya Haryanto menjawab pertanyaannya dan itu benar. Jadi selamat kepada Ahya Haryanto mendapatkan door prize berupa cool box dari Claris. Nah, nanti Ahya Haryanto saya akan kontak ya untuk alamatnya dan sebagainya. Tapi sekali lagi untuk teman-teman yang mungkin yang mau join, yang belum member dan mau join, saya ingatkan kembali ada door prize 5 pendaftar pertama nanti diundi bisa mendapatkan cool box ini dari Claris. Seperti itu. Mungkin dari Ahya Aceh yang lain ada mau bertanya lagi kepada Sean atau ada yang mau sharing mungkin?
Wendy, saya rasa ini waktu juga sudah agak ini ya, lebih dari 2 jam. Kalau ada yang mau leave silakan, nggak apa-apa. Kalau ada yang mau stay, chit-chat sama Ian, sama Sean, sama kita semua, no problem, silakan ya. Oke.
Oke, jika demikian, karena waktunya sudah cukup malam, kita terima kasih kepada Sean yang sudah sharing hari ini. Untuk informasinya, kita terima kasih kepada teman-teman yang sudah hadir dan mau sharing juga. Mungkin untuk saat ini YouTube Live akan saya matikan. Seperti kata Ahya Kurnia, untuk teman-teman yang masih mau ngobrol dan sebagainya, silakan stay aja di kita punya Zoom ini. Seperti itu.